Hey there, my name is Jenny Hubbard, and welcome to the Catherine Violet Hubbard Animal Sanctuary. The sanctuary was created in honor of my daughter, Catherine, one of the first graders lost at Sandy Hook. She loved animals, and we have discovered that in honoring her spirit and her love for animals, there is something beautiful and healing and gentle about the bond that exists between humans and animals. So here at the sanctuary, we honor that bond, and we provide programming that keeps animals with their caregivers or in their rightful habitats. We teach kids how to care for the animals in their midst, and we protect the environment and give all creatures a place to feel safe at home. So it is my honor to welcome you to the sanctuary. So welcome to the sanctuary. I'm glad that you're here. The sanctuary was gifted to the foundation in 2014. It was part of the Fairfield Hills complex. It actually starts at the bottom of this road and covers 34 acres of woodlands, meadows. It was part of Fairfield Hills. It supported the patients back in the day, and so it was a working farm and part of a larger sustainable community. It was hip before its day, and so what you're about to see is the progress that we've made, and as we walk and talk, I'll share with you a little bit about how we see the vision of the future. This is the highest point of the sanctuary. This is where all of the action happens now, and where the buildings, once they're built, will be. It doesn't look like it's going to hold two buildings, but it will. All of the infrastructure was put in place in 2019. In the fall, we finished up all of the drainage, all of the grading, and the retaining wall were put in. The buildings that will soon come will be both human and animal, because here at the sanctuary we honor the human-animal bond. The human side will have a cafe, offices, multi-functional learning space. It will overlook the garden, which is where we'll end up our tour. And then the animal side will have a veterinary country clinic where it'll be a community resource for the animal rescue world. And it will have a 2-bedroom apartment where our caretaker will live and oversee all of the care of our animals and the vast property. This space is where we now host our programs, all of our events. It really is a community gathering place. We call it the Pavilion Green. And the structure here is the pavilion structure. It was gifted to the sanctuary when the land was gifted in 2014. The story behind the pavilion is it's really sweet and innocent. When the architects showed us the design rendering of the buildings that we are going to create here, the pavilion stands center of the animals and the human buildings. It is the only structure that will have red terracotta tiles. It's intentional. It's because of Catherine's red hair, and the colonnades that connect the two buildings are her arms welcoming humans and animals alike. The pavilion is the gateway. All of the guests that visit the sanctuary and all of the animals that come for healing will be welcomed through the pavilion. So when it was gifted, it stands watch now and will eventually be moved into the meadow. I'll show you where that's going to be once the actual building's built. But it's really a cool place that people gather, and we just think it's super special. When the land was conveyed over to the foundation, it was a mess. It had sat fallow for 10 years. It was choked with invasive vines, and the grass that you see here wasn't even here. It was all canary grass and invasive meadow grasses. And so our first task was to restore the property back to its innate beauty. What we really want to do is embrace all beings, all living creatures and plants and humans for who they are and what they stand for. And so it started at the sanctuary with getting the land back to what it once was when it was a working farm supporting patients. And so we cleared out an acre of invasive, and then we had to put native and regional plants back in to support the habitat that currently lives here. So at our galas, we've had 3. Part of what we do to support the foundation and the sustainability of the foundation is we auctioned off these trees. They were part of the room, they were part of the decor, and then they were delivered here and installed, planted by local landscapers. So you'll see along the way there's trees with plaques in them. We've planted sugar maples, spruces, river birches, all in an effort to restore the property back to its original grandeur. So the gardens, when we acquired the property, or we were first shown the property, we were told that this space right here was magic. And if you look at some of the aerials before it was developed into the community garden that it is now, it is a perfect rectangle. It's the size of a football field, and the terrain is totally different than the rest of the sanctuary property. So it is where they grew potatoes. It is now where we grow fruits and vegetables for humans and animal consumption. It's the community garden. It has 30 raised beds, and were all built by volunteer workdays and corporations over the past 3 years. So the gardens we always envisioned as a place of a gathering place for just the community to come together and grow food on behalf of humans, human consumption and animal consumption. Little did we think that they would be built and used so quickly. When the pandemic hit, Real Food Share, another nonprofit, came to us, and they had already planned on using the garden beds, but we decided to get dirt in all of them. They're 10 feet by 40 feet. We filled them up with dirt. They've been planted. They've harvested over 1,000 pounds of produce, probably 150 of which has gone to local animal rescues to support their farm animals during this time of need. So I guess if there was an animal at the sanctuary, our first animal would be bees. We installed the apiary a few years ago when we started construction. It was inspired by, and the first apiary was installed by an Eagle Scout in the area. He introduced us to the bees and beekeeping at the sanctuary. When we started the initial site work, they had to be moved. Bees can either go 30 feet or 3 miles, but nothing in between. So when we started construction and the site work, we put the bees in foster, and when we finished up, they came home. The apiary was installed last fall by the work of so many, just coming out on a Saturday and putting the footing in. And right now we have 4 hives going, and the fence around it is to keep the bears out. The barn is original to the property. It's a 1920s bank barn. When we first acquired the property, it was a mess. It was gray. It had asbestos tiles all over it. It had a lean-to. We had a donor in New Mexico that was really interested in getting involved and had raised a significant amount of money for the sanctuary. And so they reached out and had said they wanted to help us in moving the project forward. They sent a group called Rescue Rebuild to the sanctuary, and Rescue Rebuild restored the barn. They had volunteers from over 7 states that flew in for 2 weeks, gave up their vacation time, and at no cost to the foundation, the barn was restored to its original grandeur. This is the original color of the barn, and will one day hold our farm animals. Right now it's storage for us, but small farm animals, sheep, goats, chickens. We hope to have a pig in limited quantities here at the sanctuary. When Rescue Rebuild finished their work here, they committed to coming back the following year. They came back in 2017, and we built all of the paddocks ground up. We had corporations come out. They taught us how to do corporate work days. They provided the manpower and the oversight to the projects, and we provided the workforce. So in a matter of 2 weeks, The following year, we installed the paddocks. My favorite is the nursery paddock. It's where all the babies will go. It's a quick jaunt from the barn over to the paddock. And when they finished the paddock, they said, "You are fully capable of doing this." The cool part is that the sanctuary had gained a reputation for being able to host service days for corporations and having them be impactful and organized. And we moved on to the community gardens, which is how all of those garden beds got built, and has been and continues to be the reason that we make so much progress here here at the sanctuary. It has been volunteer labor that has shown us such great results in a short period of time. It is a mix of meadows and woodlands, and so weaving through the woodlands is a bridle trail. It was the first project that was done here at the sanctuary in 2014. When we acquired the property, the Newtown Bridle Lands Association got wind that we were restoring the property back to its original intent. And part of that original use was what was called Chicken Run. So they approached us. They said, "You know, you've got a bridle trail on your property. It's called Chicken Run. It was used to transport the eggs from the barn back down to the dairy farm." They asked if they restored it, if we would maintain it as a bridle trail, which means that it will never be paved and always accessible to horses and their riders. But it's also a pedestrian and a hiking trail. So it's a 1.5 miles that weaves through the woods. You can't get lost. It always leads either back to the barn, the pavilion, or the brook. Behind me is the Meadow Restoration Project. It's been a 2 or 3 year effort on our part. We cleared out about 4 acres of invasive trees and shrubs that had marched into the space, and we've taken the tree line back to what it originally was. And over the past year, we have planted buckwheat in it as a cover crop. We're working with meadow restoration experts, and next spring, when you come to the sanctuary, you will see wildflowers and meadow grasses that provide habitat to a quickly decreasing area and space here locally in Connecticut. So we're restoring that for the wildlife and the creatures who really depend on it. I think what's most cool for me about this project is we have reused all of the materials that came out of that space. So the mulch that you see in between the garden beds and the chip that's on the trails in the woods, and then some of the reflection areas throughout the property where we planted the trees from the galas, used the mountain of mulch that I used to say, if you want to see what 4 acres of trees looks like chipped, look at our mountain of mulch. That has now been spread and shared with other areas in the sanctuary. So I love the fact that we're just reusing all of the materials that are original to the sanctuary. We always envisioned the sanctuary having this magnificent overlook. And from this side, you'll see what the buildings will overlook. And the pavilion will be seen from every open space on the property. But what I love is that it will be flanked by what is 1,900 pollinator plugs on the top tier. The second tier is going to be installed shortly. However, each one of the plants was donated on behalf of a mother, and the pollinator garden serves as a sanctuary for not only monarchs but some of the beneficial insects that are compromised. It is 6,000 square feet of pollinators and puts the sanctuary in a position of being marked as a monarch sanctuary. So apropos, considering that this is a place where Catherine's spirit lives on. And some of my fondest memories are Catherine in the garden and sort of crouched around plants and beautiful flowers and just, finding quiet, respite, and actually connecting with the butterflies that would, obviously, and always surround her. We were so excited when we finished the first phase, the initial site work here at the sanctuary. Everything was put into motion at our first gala, and to see it come to life last in the fall was just incredible. So 4 guys, 8 weeks. It was Gino's crew. It's 300 feet of hand-stacked stone. It goes down at the highest point 16 feet. It is not going anywhere anytime soon. And what I love about it is that Gino, there was 4 guys, 8 weeks, that stone by stone put this wall in place, and is really the first vision of what will be the place that everybody comes to in motion. It's amazing to see so much come to life in such a short period of time. It has truly been an honor and a privilege to be able to focus on all of the progress that you have seen and be a part of the progress that you have seen over the course of our time together. It's humbling and a gift of which I am incredibly grateful. I have found healing in this place that we call Sanctuary, and I'm excited for what's to come in the future, and I'm grateful that you would consider being a part of that journey forward. If you'd like to learn more about ways that you can help or contribute, you can visit us at cvhfoundation.org. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or you can email us. And if you want to come and see the sanctuary for yourself, we'd love to have you.